Welcome to Turning Point. I'm Becky Alfrey.
And I'm Jessica Alfrey. Beauty comes in many shapes and sizes. However, when you don't feel beautiful on the inside, that is when the struggle begins. Dr. Ramy Awad describes how sometimes acid reflux and obesity go hand in hand. Kayla Michelle tells her story of courage and how she got through the darkness of having an eating disorder.
Travis Cosentino will tell you who to call if there's something strange in your neighborhood. And Eddie Foulger, champion trainer at World Gym, will share how to rock your resolutions for a healthier year.
Esophageal cancer has increased almost 600% in the last decade. Dr. Ramy Awad shares how sometimes surgery can reduce taking medications and how obesity and acid reflux can go hand in hand.
Dr. Awad, I had a very close friend that died of esophageal cancer. And not to be negative, because I'm really not negative, but so many people, including myself, are on acid reflux medication. What would you suggest if somebody is on medication all the time for years and they keep dealing with this? By the time my friend, Steve DeCure, went into the doctor, he was in stage 4 cancer. So when do we know what to do to change this?
That's a good question, because the rate of esophageal cancer has increased dramatically, almost 600% in the last, decade and a half, and it really parallels one thing, the obesity epidemic. We know obesity correlates to acid reflux, but reflux really is kind of related to a pressure phenomenon or a valve problem. So if you have a lot of pressure in your stomach or you have a weak valve, the acid in your stomach is going to reflux up into the esophagus. So medications really address the acid component, but not the anatomic component of a incompetent valve, a weak valve that allows you to reflux. So what patients should know is that there is different options for reflux, and it's not something patients should always suffer with, because there's risks, not only risk of esophageal cancer, but risk of certain things like dietary modifications and limitations. Certain patients can't enjoy a spicy bowl of pasta or a glass of wine. So there's a lot of dietary modifications that they have to experience. Also lifestyle modifications. Some patients, their reflux is so bad that they can't sleep flat. So it's becoming a very common problem. We're seeing a lot of patients with reflux. And the main thing is, there's a spectrum of treatment. First thing you want to really kind of rule out, if they had long-term exposure of the esophagus with acid, surveillance of the esophagus. So esophagoscopy, some sort of endoscopy where you survey the esophagus, make sure it looks okay, biopsy, make sure there's no precancerous changes, and based on that we make a lot of recommendations. It really starts with lifestyle modification. Sometimes patients identify food triggers and say, this makes my reflux worse, I'm going to avoid this. Certain things like tight-fitting clothes make it worse. Sleeping flat right after a meal can make it worse. You're taking away the effects of gravity. And then if lifestyle modification doesn't really address it, then we move to pharmacotherapy, drug therapy. And the proton pump inhibitors now are very effective in reducing the acid. It doesn't eliminate the acid exposure, but it reduces it. So basically it just turns down the burn, essentially, almost like turning...
But how does it affect the rest of the body, and is this something that would be healthy to live on the rest of your life? Or wouldn't it be better to fix the problem, especially if it's already turned into GERD or something a little more advanced than just acid reflux? Wouldn't it be, the conservative thing would be to fix it with a surgery?
Well, some patients, are fearful of surgery, and not everybody's a candidate for surgery. If dietary modifications and lifestyle modifications really kind of work to address the problem, and patients have a couple episodes of breakthrough that they have to take medication for, we advocate that. In terms of the risk of these proton pump inhibitors and these medications, there is some implication in things like osteoporosis, drug-drug interactions. Certain blood thinners don't work well with it. Also, it changes your intestinal bacterial flora.
Interesting.
So there are risks. They're pretty safe medications, but there's patients who say, if you can fix this with a surgery, and I can eat what I want, why not?
And go off
of
medication. I think that sounds healthier.
So then we address surgery in patients who, one, are refractory to lifestyle and dietary modification, as well as drug therapy, they're taking medication and they still get breakthrough episodes of it and they're experiencing lifestyle limiting reflux. If they have so many dietary modifications that they say, I can't enjoy eating anything or enjoying a glass of wine, or they're concerned about interactions with medications. So these surgeries are safe, and there's a lot of times reflux is associated with a hernia through the diaphragm called the hiatal hernia, as well as a valve that's weak. So surgery, unlike medication, addresses the anatomic issue and corrects the anatomic issue as opposed to just take care of the
Band-Aid.
symptoms.
It's
Exactly.
a Band-Aid to just take a medication.
Well, it just reduces the acid,
Exactly.
content and exposure.
But it has other risks. If you're not getting it interacts with other drugs differently. It changes the flora in your system. Those are serious things, I think. I mean, am I wrong on that?
They are. These are possible effects of the medication, and patients are concerned. And I think patients need to know that there are surgical options.
There are options
that are very effective and safe for these.
And are they as safe as the gallbladder surgery?
It depends. You have to really
like
have
a
to,
hiatal hernia surgery.
It depends. You really have
Okay.
to have a surgeon who's experienced in the
Okay.
foregut or the upper abdomen. Someone who does a lot of these.
Well,
These
how
are
about
really
you?
we do a
How
lot of these.
experienced are you in that?
That's where we live. We do a
Okay.
lot of bariatric surgery, and we work on the stomach and the esophagus quite a bit. So that's an area of.
So you would be an expert in hiatal hernias.
We do quite a bit.
Okay,
And
that's
there's
excellent.
There's a lot of those we do in association with bariatric surgery.
Okay.
A lot of my bariatric patients who come in for a gastric bypass or a sleeve do have hiatal hernias, and we fix it at the time of surgery as well.
Interesting. That's good to know.
But the anti-reflux surgeries usually in a combination with a hiatal hernia repair, and it's a procedure where you take the stomach, you fix the hernia, you mobilize the esophagus, and you essentially wrap the stomach partially or fully around the esophagus, and that really restores the pressure of the lower esophageal sphincter, that valve, so you almost are putting a belt around the esophagus, so it's less likely to have acid come up.
And is that good for the rest of your life? How long does that surgery last?
They tend to work pretty good.
Okay.
They tend to work pretty good. They're
And
very
how long
effective.
before they can start eating regular food?
They are put on a stage diet.
Okay.
So obviously there's going to be some swelling related to the surgery. So
Okay.
for about 2 weeks we put them on a clear liquid, full liquid, and then they advance themselves to a pureed consistency, then soft food.
Okay.
But we really advocate starting early to eat because it's almost like physical therapy for the
Right.
esophagus. And within 2 to 3 weeks they're really eating regular foods.
So you coach a healthy lifestyle. with
It's
this,
important, absolutely.
With any surgery on how they eat and when they eat. Okay.
Absolutely, and that's important for any surgery you do, and also for bariatric patients. It's very important that they implement health into the lifestyle.
Great. Okay.
Our world loves beautiful people, and in a lot of ways that can lead us to a destructive lifestyle. Bikini competitor and ex-runway model Kayla Michelle tells her story and how living healthy can keep you beautiful and happy.
So I'm sure that it got worse before it got better, but the eating disorder kicked in because of the pressure to be too thin. And what happened then?
Well, I kind of hit rock bottom. I was 110 pounds and I'm 6 feet tall, so that is very emaciated. I hit rock bottom when I woke up in Harlem on the train. I had passed out on the train on my way home from Midtown castings all day, and I lived up on the Upper West Side with a couple of roommates. So I woke up about 10, 15 blocks north of where I really should have been, and my guardian angels and my God were really covering me at that point because I woke up I was completely disoriented. I didn't know where I was, and I realized I was blacked out. I blacked out because I wasn't taking care of myself, and I didn't have the nutrition, the fuel in my body to be able to just protect myself. I put myself in this compromised position where anything could have happened at that point. And so,
Were you abusing anything other than not eating?
no,
No alcohol or?
I had a little bit of alcohol once in a while when I went out with friends. I mean, the party scene with modeling is a whole nother
I
topic.
bet it's very
The
interesting.
nightlife. I mean, you're out all day working and then you're up all night. And so, I mean, my drink of choice when I was 18 was, vodka and Red Bull because it kept me up. And
Okay.
I know how horrible it is because you got a depressant and then you've got a stimulant in the same
Right.
drink. I mean, it's so horrible for you. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't understand it.
Sure.
And I was just living the lifestyle. I never got into any hard drugs or
That's good.
drugs of any kind.
Good.
But I definitely drank a little bit
This is about a regular
socially.
eating disorder.
Regular
which
eating
all
disorder.
people, a lot of,
Yeah.
it touches a lot of our society.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And so you were in a full-fledged eating disorder.
Yeah,
And woke up
very,
hard.
basically, very warped perception of what I actually looked like. So anorexia was playing a huge role in my mental stability at that point. I had a binge purge cycle. Again, my guardian angels protected me from ever actually binging in the form of throwing up.
Oh, so
I
you never did
tried
that. Okay.
multiple times.
So you used laxatives?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
abused laxatives, I abused fat burners, energy pills, energy drinks, things like that. And I was like a compulsive cardio girl. I would just run for 6 blocks, or
So
I
you're
would run
burning
to
up
the gym.
what little you
Yeah.
had, you were burning it up.
I was burning it up. And I remember meeting with a personal trainer in New York at the gym that I got a membership at. And it was at the point where I realized I'm hurting myself, but I don't know what other option there is.
Right.
I was lost. And the
didn't know.
gym scared me to death because I'd grown up in ballet, and
Right.
so the weight scared me. I didn't want to look like a man.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to be bulky. I was looking at the Victoria's Secret girls, and I didn't know how they got that way because I was looking at myself, being told that I'm eating the way they're eating, but I didn't feel like I looked like them.
Right.
And so I remember he told me, and he was a bodybuilder, so he was
At the gym?
big, and yeah, he was big and strong. And I remember him telling me that, well, you need to eat a certain way, you need to eat consistently, protein, good carbs, lots of veggies, good fruits.
Right.
He just gave me like a good, healthy nutrition talk, and then talked to me about weights, and completely lost me. Like I just the second he mentioned eating anything, I was
because
scared.
you couldn't eat, so you
Exactly.
But he didn't understand
He didn't
you
know
had
about
a
my eating
mental disorder.
Exactly. He didn't
And he
understand.
didn't
He didn't know
understand.
that. I didn't even tell him.
Okay.
You know,
Of
he
course
just knew
not.
I was a model. So, despite his best efforts, I never picked up a regular schedule with him because I was just scared. And
Right.
probably if I had picked up something with him, I would have been in a different position
You would
sooner.
have healed sooner.
Yeah. But regardless, I did end up healing. And ironically enough, because of my situation or my experience with him, my first step to healing was getting my own fitness training nutrition certification.
Okay.
I got to the point where I was angry with myself for letting me get to that point,
That you
for losing
didn't feel
control.
good. And
I
so-
didn't feel good.
So you went in a good direction, though. You wanted
Yeah.
to learn about nutrition.
I wanted
So
to learn
you
about
became
it.
educated about the body and what it needs.
Exactly. So I bought my first certification, and I honestly did it. I wasn't looking for a career change. I was looking to just educate myself on what needed to be done. And so
Gotcha.
I devoured it and got my certification. And honestly, by the time I had finished it, I was visiting my family back home, and for Christmas, I believe it was. And I made the decision while I was visiting back home that I wasn't going back to New York.
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Travis Cosentino. He tells stories about he became a modern-day ghost hunter, which makes me want to say, I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Travis, what was the turning point that brought you to believing in alternate dimensions and alternate selves?
Well, as far as like the paranormal is concerned, my turning point was just going out and experience it for myself. I had known a friend that had swore up and down that her house was haunted. So she allowed me to stay the night, and I had brought my own little digital recorder. This is before I'd really gotten too much into it. And I stayed the night there. I slept on the couch. And I didn't sleep because there was stuff going on all over the place. I was hearing footsteps. I was hearing things being opened and closed in the kitchen. But I wasn't seeing anything. I was just hearing this stuff. And it was kind of blowing my mind, you know. And then I experienced something that the medical term calls is sleep paralysis. And basically what happens is when you go to sleep, you go in this REM state. And your body kind of paralyzes itself so that you don't kick around and punch people when you're sleeping, when you're like running in your sleep. So anyways, I would wake up paralyzed, and I'd never experienced that in my entire life. And So I wake up, I'm paralyzed, I can move my eyes, I'm trying to scream, but I can't. And then I feel this hand on my chest, and it's just pushing me down, and I feel this breath on my ear, and it scared the shit out of me. And yeah, so that was like my turning point for, okay, there's something else here. And then after going over the recordings and hearing voices and all this, I was like, okay, something's up. Something's really going on here. And that was really a big changing point for me.
Is it possible that maybe you aren't being haunted by a spirit, or you're haunting yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And what that's called is PK manifestation. It's a poltergeist type of manifestation that is created primarily through women. Women are highly intuitive, highly advanced individuals. In fact, they're probably better than men in a lot of ways. They're like the 2.0 of human beings, okay? And they can create, it's not their imagination when objects move. They actually can subconsciously create these things and manifest what would seem like a haunting, but in reality, it's just coming from themselves. This is a real thing, and it does happen with a lot of women.
How did you educate yourself in the ways of ghost hunting?
For me, it started with being haunted, to be honest with you. I couldn't take it as seriously until I actually experienced it for myself. And it's not like it's something I wanted to happen, but it definitely did happen. And I just read books, and I spoke with people that, you know, had experienced it themselves. There are thousands of people in this world that talk about it. There's forums, there's groups that you can go to and discuss this with. It's not, you know, how it was 50 years ago when you couldn't tell anybody. Everybody's talking about it now. You know, there's television shows for this stuff. I mean, it's out there. The answers are there. You just need to look for them.
Just because some of your family members are hairier than the others doesn't mean you don't want to capture memories with them. Red Door Pictures will make sure you and your fuzzy friends have pictures that bring out both of your personalities.
I started Pets and Their People because I love animals. Most animals I feel a connection with, especially when they come in my studio. I just try to make them feel welcome, like this is kind of their new temporary home. I always ask the owner if they have some way to get a quick snap or picture and send it to me before they bring them into the studio. It gives me the opportunity to kind of dream and prepare about how I want to portray that pet. Do I want to make them look like they're on a movie set or in a doghouse or playing a princess for the day? I gather all this just from the picture the owner sends me. I just really try and personalize every photo shoot. I spend time thinking about what props I'm going to use, what backgrounds I'm going to use. The opportunities are endless. I'm not just taking photographs. I'm not just here to be your photographer. When I meet somebody, I'm going to work with somebody, whether it's the individual, the person who's coming in for headshots, or if it's a person bringing their pets in to be photographed. I try to learn about them, what their life is, what their lifestyle is, so that I can make some kind of connection in my portrait work that shows their character or their personality in the shot. It's natural to me to pick up the camera and try and get that shot that shows the emotional connection, or that emotion I'm trying to capture in a shot. That is what I try to achieve in every photo shoot, whether it's a person, a furry little pet, it just doesn't matter. I'm trying to capture who you are in a photograph.
Family isn't always blood. It is the people who are in our lives who love us unconditionally, no matter what. Brian Greenleaf shares how he was adopted and how his family was always enough.
Brian, I know you were adopted. And I know how much you do respect your dad. I mean, you went into the Navy because he pretty much mentored you to get into the Navy. But that was difficult. Can you explain a little bit the struggles that you've had with dealing with the adoption, finding out you were adopted?
Well, I was adopted when I was 9 months old by my mother and father when they were together. And, you know, I grew up living with my mom most of the time. You know, she was a single mom raising myself and my sister, her blood daughter. And I was told from a young age, you know, this story my mom had about how she, you know, came to the orphanage and she picked me out. You know, I had this bowl haircut and it was crazy, but she liked it. She tells me the story about how she picked me because she wanted that one, the, you know, cutest boy in there. And so she picked me out, and she's always been honest with me. And actually, when I was growing up, we used to watch these, you know, programs on TV that had a lot of that coming up. They talked about kids being adopted and looking for the real parents. And my mom's always been real open with me about, you know, giving me the information if I wanted it. And again, she was very honest with me from a very young age. And I've never felt it necessary to go seek that out. I know that my birth mom was 15 and too young to raise a child. You know, I just don't know that seeking that out is what I need to do. You know, my mom that raised me is my mom, and she always will be.
Right.
That has always been sufficient for me. You know, I've never had to look any further than that. You know, we're very close today, and you know, I get to go visit her. She's only a state away, so I hop on a motorcycle and go see her. You know, as much as I can. But with that, I've never felt it necessary to go look past that, because it's always been enough, and I think I'm very fortunate in that way. Because although I have had the experiences of feeling, you know, different or less than because, you know, I wasn't my mom's real child or my dad's real child, but I really growing up, I haven't had that feeling, because I know that I'm loved and I was raised, you know, as well as I could be. We weren't rich. We had each other. We always had each other, and that's real important, you know, especially today.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you were really blessed with the love. I mean, at the end of the day, what is family? Family's love. It sounds like you had that.
Yeah, yep, we still do.
Were there any points that you struggled with being adopted or not feeling a part of? I know for me, my teenage years were hard, and I belonged to my family. But was there any part that you struggled with it?
Only when it dealt with other kids. You know, we went through school and, you know, we would do family trees. And really, mine is just me, because I'm the beginning of my bloodline that I'm really aware of. I do have a daughter, of course, and she's, you know, my blood. So my tree is really small. You know, it starts with me and goes to my daughter. And
but it's so beautiful.
Yes, yes, it is. You know, and it's a wonderful thing to, you know, be able to have, you know, my bloodline continue, because I don't really know where it started, you know. And again, it's because I've chosen not to seek that out, because I don't think it's really relevant to how I live today or what I do. I think that my life is good contingent on the basis that I, you know, live my own life and not look on the past to guide me. I look at today and I move forward.
Well, it seems to me you're building a pretty strong family tree, and I know a lot of people that would like to start over, and it seems like you're just setting some roots for a beautiful future for not only your family, but the world.
Yeah, I get the opportunity to do that.
Very cool. You can get a rockin' body this year at World Gym in Palm Desert. Join Eddie Foulger and rock your resolution.
Okay, Rock Your Resolution is a 5-week program that, in so many words, what we try to do is basically turn your resolution into your reality. Okay, so, you know, you have lots of people all year long trying to get in shape. They're also, you know, busy with life and everything that life has to offer. And a lot of times, so much time goes by and we're never reaching our results. You know, and so usually around New Year's comes around and people get so excited and they make all these resolutions. I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to lose some weight. You know, and what we find is that they come into the gym and they'll join the gym or rejoin the gym, or they'll hire a trainer, or they won't hire a trainer. Whatever it is, they come in, and they'll sort of spin their wheels for a couple weeks. Typically, it's the people that don't hire the trainers, okay, and they don't get the results that they need, and so then they fade off. And they become sort of your resolution type people that,
Gotcha.
every year they want to lose this weight. One year it's 10 pounds, the next year it's 20, and the next year I'll be happy with 10 just to get it in the right direction.
Right.
So what we do is we just help you get that started, help that become a reality for you, and we do that by basically outlining everything for you, from the food that you're eating to the, we offer classes 3 times a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, whether you're, getting up and hitting the gym in the morning before work, or whether you're dropping your kids off at school and then coming to the gym, or whether you're hitting a full day of work and then coming into the gym, we can fit your schedule.
So 3 different times.
You got it.
That's awesome. What's the morning time is?
We're going to be running them at 5 a.m.,
Okay.
9 a.m., and 6 p.m.
Perfect. That hits everybody and everybody's schedule if they want to do that commitment. Okay.
What you're seeing in that video, we're specifically doing a cardio day. We're focusing more on cardiovascular type exercises, keeping your heart rate up there. We're doing lots of circuit training, 30-second stations, getting people's heart rate moving on to the next station. Some stations, some days we'll have people grouped up. Some stations, some days you'll be by yourself. It's always different, so that way it doesn't get redundant. You don't get bored, and even more important, your body doesn't get used to what you're doing.
And it was fun. I have to say, I was scared to do it because I didn't know if I could even keep up, but it was fun.
You did great, and what that shows everybody too is, we had, a lot of athletes and competitors that were actually doing that commercial with yourself, but then we had yourself as well,
ages.
and Angela. So, we had people, from their 20s all the way up into their 50s doing the class, and everybody did great.
I thought that was really, really interesting. So if somebody wants to start over, it's not too late. They can still get their resolution in, but with Eddie Foulger style.
It's never too late. Eddie Foulger, Rock Your Resolution style, over at World Gym in Palm Desert.
Thank you for watching Turning Point. You may think anxiety is always negative, but in the right amounts, the hormones that drive anxiety can be powerful stimulants, arousing the senses to function at their sharpest.
So be the sharpest crayon in the box and let the anxiety color your world beautiful. Have a wonderful week, friends.
And thank you for watching.